What's your best idiot neighbor story? I posted this one recently, so sorry it's a repeat. I'll make it short. I had a prob with a neighbor who drove over my lawn with his ATVs and damaged the grass/shrubs. He said he'd pay for damage, but that never happened, and he kept doing it. So I put my huge trailer across their tracks to block their path. They went around it. I put up 2 other barriers that they also drove around. So I found this huge branch that had fallen in the woods between our properties and dragged it across to cover the 3rd path they were making across my yard. But the branch got caught on a cable. What is a cable doing over the lawn instead of properly buried? So I called the cable company to have it buried. They said I was the only registered client on that box and to disconnect it. So I did. After the weekend, my neighbor came by going total apapoop at me for disconnecting his cable. He yelled he was going to call the cops on me. So I left. I got a call from the cops. Cops asked if I disconnected cable because of the ATV issue. Interesting. I wasn't even going to mention the ATV issue, but my neighbor already did. So long story short, the neighbor got a warning ticket for trespassing and admitted to stealing cable. I took an offer on my house that very day and moved. My dad had a neighbor when he was young that played his radio loudly all day, even when he wasn't home or was gone on vacation. Every time he left the house and his radio was still on, my dad would go and trip the circuit breaker to his condo. One day he sees my dad, who was an electrical engineer, and asked him why his breaker kept tripping. Was it faulty wiring? No, my dad explained. The loud radio was probably just putting too much strain on the circuit when left on all the time. My dad suggested he should try turning it down or off when he wasn't home and see if that fixed it. So the man tried it, and surprise surprise, the circuit breaker stopped tripping. He was very thankful to my dad for helping him with that annoying electrical issue. My neighbor is an overweight middle-aged woman that seems to have a bad knee only when my kids are outside in the summer. If they are playing in my fenced-in backyard, she'll pretend to fall down so they can help her up. I went from "kids, you should help her, that's what neighbors do," to "she fell again. It seems like she only falls when you guys are playing. She doesn't fall when I'm working in the garden. To if she falls again, come get me." When I started saying that, she seemed to be able to get up pretty quickly. I had to go over there in August and tell her that I can't have my kids helping her get up anymore. They are 7 and 8 years old and they can't give her medical aid. I get that she is probably lonely, but 3 or 4 times a week, I'd hear her yell, "Kids, kids, help me up, I fell again." Neighbor dug a hole in our side yard because she needed dirt. Both of us live on an acre of land. Guess you'll have to find some dirt to fill that hole in with. Wonder where you could get some of that. The best part about this was I found it mowing the lawn, and I thought I fractured my ankle and my parents were mad at me for digging a hole. To which you replied, "I got bored and started digging holes. I hate you guys. Why don't you understand me?" Couple that lives across the hall from me fights often and loudly. One night, the girl found something on the guy's phone that she found objectionable, either porn or evidence of cheating. Either way, she was yelling a lot about skunks and slides. So she throws his phone off the 2nd floor balcony onto the concrete walkway below where it shatters. Guy then goes back inside, grabs her phone, and does the same. Moral of the story is, an iPhone for an iPhone makes the whole world entertaining for the neighbors. My constantly drunk neighbor came up with the brilliant idea that he could collect the leaves in the stone parking lot with his snowblower. He duct taped a plastic garbage bag over the discharge chute and off he goes. It actually inflated the bag for a few moments until the stones started flying. He broke 3 windows on his garage door and splattered a bunch of cars in the lot. Poop my britches laughing. I could write a book on all the stupid poop I saw him do. Is your neighbor Tim Allen? If so, does he ever get to see your whole face? Neighbor has a teenage son, 2 years my junior, who's an idiot. Got a used car for his birthday and decided to paint it neon green. Okay. One night he comes home, drunk, and proceeds to crash into my dad's car parked outside. Decides to hide it, poorly, and the next morning, claims it wasn't him. We probably would have believed him had the damage on my dad's car not had a neon green paint swap to it. Edit. Have gotten a few replies asking what 2 years my junior means. Basically it means he's 2 years younger than me. I had something similar happen to me at work. Coworker drove some 199x Civic monstrosity that he had street modded ducked up royally with aftermarket mods that he thought would convert reality to a drift racing flick, and one of those was a paint job that was iridescent blue. Very blue. So incredibly blue. The kind of platonic idea of blue that philosophers and art majors would devolve into furious hate over discussing. Anyway, Dominic Toretto over there got some wild, stupid whippet inspired hair up his bum over me for some reason I do not understand, and made it his business to park his duck boy mobile as close as possible to my rusting 1980 Pontiac Landau as he possibly could every day. I let it go because I was generally working through a hangover and didn't want to add to my headache. One day, I come out and the candy coated Cobalt McVie is nowhere to be seen. I think maybe he moved on to something better. Maybe some people just need some time too. Hey, where's my ducking side view mirror? This was not an intrusive thought. My mirror was gone. Not broken, not bent, but completely and utterly absent, and sure enough, they're on the same side, running the length of my oil hemorrhaging gas guzzling battery breaking beast of automotive burden, is a perfect strip of glistening, heartbreakingly clean blue paint. It was like a racing stripe. Of course, when confronted, there was no way this was his fault, and also, I was in bumhole, and also, he just happened to choose to paint a similar strip on his passenger's side, but in a mottled, bare metal fashion choice garnished with little flecks of chipped, rusting gunmetal grey. The parking lot cameras told a different story, and his parents' insurance paid out a couple $100 more than my behemoth was worth to get it touched up. But Christ, if people won't cling to a lie like a one-armed man dangling off a hunk of debris in the wake of the Titanic. Until the day he was terminated for trying to feel up a cashier when she was napping in the break room, that feckless schmuck denied with every breath that he'd done anything and maintained that I had gone out of my way to frame him in what was clearly the heist of the century. Never did get my original side view mirror back either. Shame too. Really tied the car together. I was off sick one day and my roommate came home for lunch and checked the mail. We got a letter with no return address sent to the rooftop pot smokers with our address on it. We knew it was for our next door neighbors since one of them had a chair on the roof and smoked up there. Since it had no actual name and our address on it, I was like hell yeah, Imma, open this, it'll be hilarious. As I'm opening the taped envelope, a little bit of white powder sprinkled onto my lap. My roommate and I looked at each other and were like UHH, WTF. So I got up and took the letter outside to open it. A crap ton of white powder came out of the letter when we took it out of the envelope, so we grabbed a Ziploc bag and some tongs and sealed up the letter. The letter was typed and said random poop like to the bumhole who likes smoking pot on the roof and yelling at people on the street with kids. You'd better have good insurance cause I'll damage your stuff. I'm ex-military and have nothing better to do than to watch over you. You pissed off the wrong guy. Blah blah blah, and at the end it said, by the way, the substance in this envelope is toxic, so you might want to get yourself to a hospital. Who's the mother ducker now? At that point we were half laughing, half concerned, so I called the cops just in case. They took it very seriously and sent out everyone. Cops, paramedics, fire trucks, RCMP. My roommate works for them, and the tactical unit, our version of SWAT. The street was closed off. We were quarantined to a garage, and every neighbor who was home at the time came out to take a look. Everyone was told to go back inside and stay put. The tactical team got suited up in hazmat suits and went in our house to test the letter/envelope. We were in the garage for almost 3 hours. The tactical guys came back out and said the substance was found to be non-toxic, but they still had to do some more tests to figure out exactly what it was. At that point we were taken into the ambulance for a look over and then back to the garage. Turns out the white powder was ducking pancake mix. My roommate and I, along with the cops and tactical guys, burst out laughing together. We thanked the response teams and they left. The police stayed behind to get our statements and questioned the next door neighbors to whom the letter was supposed to be sent. A detective followed up with us a couple of times since it was a threat and sent through the mail. It was a serious offense. The letter/envelope was sent off to forensics for testing. Unfortunately nothing was found. and the case was closed. The people in that house caused some poop the entire time they lived there. Noise complaints, trash left everywhere outside, etc. But this incident really takes the cake. Luckily they have all since moved out PP bags.